everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, so I am using the same colors mixed the same way that I have for the last two paintings. The first one I used a square lip cup. The second one I used my measuring cup, but I did a spiral. This time I'm going to do a traditional straight pour. I want to see how these paints react. In a traditional straight pour, typically I end up with boulder cells on this side and pop-up cells on this side, and I want to see what happens. So the colors that I am using, I have for my base coat slash background, Amsterdam Acrylic and Permanent Blue Violet. This is mixed with Floetrol. I've done about 1 part paint to 3 parts Floetrol and added water until I got the consistency that I was looking for, which I will show you in a bit. This color, this is the Liquid Mirror by TriArt. This stuff is on the pricey side, but I will say this. I have done 7 paintings with this, I believe. And I still have about 1/3 of this left, and I just mixed this, so this will be enough for another 4 paintings perhaps. There's 5 ounces in there, and if I'm doing a smaller painting, 1 ounce of that stuff will cover a great deal of this canvas. It's kind of like the satin enamel in that way, where a little bit goes a long way because it will spread out, it will make cells and kind of push everything else out of the way. So I don't use a whole lot of it in my pours. So, you know, if one of these bottles, it's 4 ounces, and, you know, if you use this and you're getting, you know, 10, 15 paintings out of it, that really does kind of spread the cost out a bit. But we'll see. We'll see how many paintings I actually get out of this. Once this is empty, I will tally that up and I will let you know. So the way that I've mixed that is I added some heavy gel matte to that just to thicken it up. And then I added Floetrol to that. Again, a little goes a long way, and I've probably done 3 to 4 times Floetrol to this mixture. It is a very, very highly pigmented, I don't even know if you can call that a pigment, but whatever that is, it's strong, and you only need a little bit to really make something happen. The pigments, these are this little piggy pigments I have here: Persephone, Aquamarine, Algae, and Golden Peach. The way that I mix these, I put on a mask. That's number 1. Always, always, always wear a mask when you are working with pigments. They do become airborne. If you have studio lights, you will see it very easily when it's all just floating in the air. And if you're not wearing a mask, that goes up your nose, into your lungs, and once it's in your lungs, it's not coming out. It's going to stay in there, and as you can imagine, that's really not good for you. So wear a mask. So what I do is, for this mix, I have put golden pouring medium matte into the bottom of my cup, and then I added the pigment to that and kind of made a, you know, a slurry with that. It doesn't dissolve in quite the same way as if I were using the Jo Sonja gloss varnish. It really just does dissipate into that super easily. This kind of makes it a little bit more pasty. And then again, I added the heavy gel matte to that until I got the tube paint consistency that I was looking for. And then I added Floetrol to that until I got the consistency that I was looking for. Our consistency is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears quickly. And you want it to be making a nice, thin, even stream off of your stick. If it is getting thick and then thin and thick again, your consistency is inconsistent and you need to keep mixing. I haven't had to add water to the pigments. The Floetrol is enough to get the job done. I also have Treasure Gold, Folk Art Treasure Gold, and Antique Copper. I have gotten very interesting sells with this paint, but I love it because from one angle it is purple and from another it is copper. It is a very, very cool paint. You can see, like in this cup, it looks purple, but if I give it a scrape and you can just see the flash of it, perhaps you can see it is a copper flash within that purple. And that I just added Floetrol, 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint, brand, consistency, the color, the recipe, the technique, all of the things that I can't fit onto a card is in this video. This is a picture of the painting in that video. This box contains a tip for this particular technique. And here at the bottom, we have the color palette that was used in this video. These 2 boxes can be used as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those colors. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors, mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. The first thing I'm going to do is put some paint in my cup. I do this because I have a tendency to make my base coat too thick if I don't portion it out like this, and then I don't wind up with enough for my cup. So this just helps me make sure that I have enough. And I'm reserving a bit in the cup here for the top of my pouring cup. You'll notice I've already covered my sides. The reason that I do that is because I am mixing these paints pretty thin, but also I am using Floetrol, and that combination does not give you the best coverage on the sides. So instead of having to touch it up later, or heaven forbid being forced to put a frame on it, or put it in a frame, I should say. This way, my edges are taken care of. They will look good regardless of what happens. If the paint sticks, if it doesn't stick, it's going to be fine. It's a small step that makes a big difference. And the reason that we use a base coat is because we want our paints to slide around evenly and easily on our canvas. Something has to stick to the canvas first, and if it is not your base coat, it is going to be your poured paint, and that can really limit your choices for composition. Sometimes the coolest things happen on the edges of your pour puddle, and if you lose that, then you lose some composition options. So I like to troubleshoot before there's trouble. I give myself as many options as possible. All right, let's torch these bubbles. Oh, Bernie 2 times, never lights the first try. He lives up to his name. The reason we pop the bubbles is because we don't want these bubbles to come up through our pour, and with it bringing little dots of paint, little pinhead sized cells. That's another reason, that's why I use a color that is in my painting, because if I do get cells coming up through here, I want it to be the color of something that is in the painting. But also, if I use the same color for my base coat as I do my background being the first color that goes into my cup, that is the color that is not going to sell. If I use that same color, then I have the option of having negative space, if I so choose. Okay, always check your consistency before adding to your pour cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. And I'm going to do about an ounce of each of these colors. That was the Golden Peach. This is the Antique Copper. This is Aquamarine. And Persephone. We have Algae. All right, and then we have some liquid mirror. I'm going to pour this one from up high. I want that to get to the bottom. I don't think I did the most excellent job of that. If you are uncomfortable with pouring from up high like this, you can always just practice in your sink with some water. I was a bartender, so I kind of got used to doing that silly fancy pour. And pour a little bit on top so that the all of the cell makers have a paint to react with. And popping the bubbles one more time here before I pour. It is very surprising how many bubbles you end up with just in your base coat. Okay, as you can see, I have some stuff popping up here. So, again, I'm just going to do a traditional straight pour, straight. Nothing fancy except perhaps at the very end so that I have a focal point. Just going to pour straight onto the canvas in the center. Here we go. Let's make a mess. This is a 14 by 14 canvas, and I'm using 8 ounces of paint. As I get towards the end of the cup, I get closer to the canvas. That's just going to give me a little more control. And here comes some of the liquid mirror. It did make it to the bottom, yay. This will become my focal point, so I'm trying to be careful. Ooh, 10 on the dismount. Hoorah. Okay. So my canvas is leveled to the table, but not to the spinner. The spinner has a bit of a wobble to it, so I have to keep it moving. try to keep it centered. Popping the bubbles. Come on. So you will see, as I pop these bubbles, it is going to bring some paint from the underlying layers. And when that paint is a matte and it is popping up through this glossy purple here, it's going to have a hydrophobic effect. More cat hair. And it's going to push that glossy paint away, which is going to give you bigger cells. So I let the paint puddle percolate. I let the cells pop up before I tilt. And as I mentioned, so when I poured this, it was facing this way. I get boulder cells over here, I get pop-up cells over here. Don't know why, that's just how it comes out, and I don't argue with it. I just use it to my advantage. So I could spin this right now, and absolutely I will have plenty of cells on this side, and the pop-up cells will come up one way or the other. But if I wait a little bit, allow them to develop first, I will get more of a boulder cell type reaction, that really cool 3D effect. I'm undecided if I'm going to tilt this by hand or spin it. I really like this, and I don't want to lose that. So, what am I gonna do? So if I stretch it by hand, if I tilt it by hand, I will get a more organic look. There'll be a little bit more movement in it. If I spin it using the spinner, then it is going to have a more uniform appearance like it is now. It's just going to be stretched out, and this center is going to get much bigger. That is going to become the focal point. That is why I pay such close attention to what's going on at the very end of my cup. So this is where, you know, decisions are to be made. Do I tilt by hand or do I spin it? If I spin it, I'm going to lose a lot of this. That is just certainly going to happen. I don't know if there's any way for me to maximize keeping that with the spin. I mean, I kind of like the composition that's happening, and I'm not sure if I want to change that too much. I mean, you know, I would love if I could just leave it like this, but I cannot. That's too much paint on this canvas. All right. I think I'm going to spin this out. Let's give it a spin. We'll start with a spin. See what it looks like it's going to do. Oh, you know what I have to do first, though? I need to make sure that my edges are properly lubricated here so that the paint slides over more easily. The edges and the corners are going to be the first parts to set up. And what happens with that is your paint will not roll over the edge as easily if there are places that have dried out on you. So just come in and touch all of this up. It's going to make a difference in the outcome of your painting. It's going to help it be more uniform, how it goes over the edge. This is why I leave some paint in my cup. So I have this as an option. I don't know why it's the corners that seem to get the skin going first. I'm sure there's some kind of scientific reason for that. If I have any science nerds, any fluid dynamic folks who can clue me in on that, I'm happy to learn. This is not a step you want to skip. It is going to make a difference. If you can see right here how it's doing this like lumpy thing, there's a dry spot right there. And that is why it is not going over the edge at the same rate as the rest of it there, because of that dry spot. Yeah. Oh, stay. Okay, let's see if that improves the situation at all. All right, let's give her a twirl. You know, I'm kind of feeling like I want to hand tilt this. Okay, going to tilt this by hand. I think I want the more organic looking cells. See how this is fighting? We don't want that. That is. Yeah, I think this was the right choice. It just wasn't looking as interesting to me with that very uniform thing going on with this particular composition. Going to lose that algae, I'm afraid, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes the overall composition is more important than saving one specific area that you really like. You gotta sacrifice a bit. I bring the paint back to center before I change directions, and that helps me to keep the shape of my cells. It helps me keep my composition a bit more intact. Gives me a more even stretch, and it keeps the cells from collapsing, just kind of becoming little flat lines. Gives you a nice even stretch. And I use the weight of the paint to push the paint around, and you'll know where the weight of the paint is by keep an eye on where it is moving the fastest. All right. And now I'm going to adjust for the composition. Decide where I want my focal point. I am loving these cells. They are funky, very cool. I think I'm going to get a lot of Persephone showing up here, which is very exciting to me. Sometimes she hides, but I really feel like this combination with the matte pouring medium and the matte gel is really helping to have these pigments attached to the other paints that are going to create cells. I'm going to do another experiment where I'm using just these pigments and see if they sell without having another cell maker to help them along. But I really feel like when this dries, this is going to be pretty amazing, because the pigments, this little piggy pigments, are absolutely stunning. Once they are dried and varnished, oh my goodness gracious, are they super cool. So really, I mean, these are supposed to be pop-up cells, but they look like oyster shells, mother of pearl or something. That is super cool. But I think there's like little dots of the liquid mirror in the center of these. So I think it's attaching to the liquid mirror. But the cool thing about the liquid mirror is it's very shimmery, but it's also transparent, sort of. So it allows the pigments to kind of poke through, and it has a very ethereal look to it. Okay, so I think I'm just going to let this sit, and I'm not crazy about where that's sitting. I want to adjust that. All right, that feels a little better to me. All right, do not forget to scrape the bottoms. The paint will pull, the paint that's dripping is going to pull the paint that's on the sides with it. And that can cause a lot of changes in your painting. So if we just are mindful of that and come in and fix it, keep touching that up, come back every few minutes until it stops dripping, and that will help you to keep the composition how you like it. All right, gonna let this sit, do what it's gonna do. I'll bring you in for a close-up in a few. Okay, here it is. This has been drying overnight, so my edges are dry. The nice thing about that is it kind of helps to see a little bit of the flash of the colors. in person. It's not showing up all that well on the camera, unfortunately. You can see some of the aquamarine there on the edge. But very happy with how this came out. These cells are really interesting. Very funky. Super excited about all of that right here. That's all the Persephone. That is going to be gorgeous when it's fully dry. Don't know if I'll be able to. I don't know if you can see what color that is in that dry spot. But it's a beautiful magenta color. It's not quite as orange as it is appearing while it's wet. But it definitely appears that the pigment's attached to the liquid mirror. That's a lot of what I'm seeing here. But I am going to do an experiment just to see what these pigments will do on their own. Will I get any cells without having a cell maker for them to attach to? So that'll be coming up in the next video. Do want to take this opportunity to let you know that I will be having an auction Saturday, July 19th at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. I've got a bunch of cool pieces that are going to be in there. Lots of the new pieces. So I've already started varnishing for that. And I will have a preview video for y'all as soon as possible. I have a very, very busy month coming up, so I'm gonna try to get that to you ASAP. But there it is. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. If you are subscribed, please make sure you've clicked that bell. Less than 1% of my views are coming from subscribers. Something is awry, and it all started when YouTube added that bell a couple of years ago. It affected a lot of people, but I have not been able to recover from that. So be sure to click that bell, comment, help me get back in the algorithm so people, can see this stuff and learn how to do this for themselves. Check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined, my website GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. The cards are also on Amazon, of course. Also, in the description box, you will find the links to my affiliates and some coupon codes. Check that out down yonder. Fluid Art Company being one of the affiliates, where you can get these awesome pigments and liquid mirror. Also, in the description box, you will find a link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. Get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. All right. I think that's it for me for today. I hope to see you at the auction on July 19th right here on the YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. That is it for me for today. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.